how we work this entire style out, right? All right, you want to go with the threat ID? Threat identification. Again, everybody here is already aware of what threat identification is. For the purposes of the video, we're going to go ahead and go over this with you. Okay? So threat identification, understanding what constitutes a threat to you is extremely important. More importantly is being aware of your surroundings no matter where you're at all the time. You have to be constantly aware of your surroundings. You can be scanning, but that's going to look odd to a lot of people, and it's going to feel odd to you after a while, and your neck will start hurting. So just be aware of what you're doing. Be aware of where you're going. You can be walking down a street in a major city, and you see a group of, scruffy individuals cross the street and go the other way. Threat avoidance. You want to avoid the threats as much as possible because the last thing you want to do is to end up in a situation where you're going to have the legal system involved. It's just not something you want to do, okay? But threat identification is extremely important. Anything, including the hand itself, can be used to bring deadly harm to an individual, okay? In firearms training, we teach something called the Tooler drill. The Tooler drill is based on a 21-foot or 7 yards space, and it quite simply shows that no matter what your physical capacity or physical capabilities are, the average length of time it takes for somebody to cross that 21 feet from a dead stop to you is 1.5 seconds. That's not a lot of time. Most of us don't train enough in whatever weapons or whatever arts that we practice to be able to react in 1.5 seconds. So the idea is being able to identify the threat before it becomes a direct threat to us. Okay? Watch people. Watch how they act. People have things, furtive movements. They'll have the individual walking down the street and he's got his hands in his vest or his coat and he's walking like this and he's looking around and he's doing the scan thing and watching for everybody else. And then he goes like this. That is a furtive movement. Okay? A furtive movement telegraphs the fact that there's a threat imminent. Okay? That doesn't mean that you can take him down at that point because he still has to present that threat to you. But now you're aware of who he is, you're aware of where he's at, and your reaction time is substantially shortened because you're aware of that threat. Okay? Another one is the individual who's standing with his back to the street and just kind of watching like this, and you walk by him, he could be a potential threat as well. A pickpocket. He could be somebody who's going to mug you. It could be any one of those things. You have to be aware of the fact that no matter how docile the individual may seem, they could be a threat to you. Okay? There's a ring of individuals in New York, New Jersey, that were, for a while, they were using old people, older individuals, the elderly, to carjack people, to steal clothing, shoplifting rings. They had these entire rings organized, and they were using older people and kids. Okay, anybody can be a threat. Anybody can pose a potential threat to you. So the idea is to be able to identify that threat and to understand that it's a potential threat and to either avoid it or to be prepared in the event that something occurs with it. Okay? So just remember, stay aware of your surroundings. That is the most important thing you can do in any type of self-defense, is staying aware of your surroundings at all times. Okay? Understand that if you're standing here, I'm standing right here, and I have my back to nothing. So there's nothing behind me that can guard me, so I have to be aware of what's behind me as well as what's in front of me, right? Choose your seating appropriately. Just think ahead. Think, how is my actions right now going to affect my ability to continue living? Okay? Which, of course, applies to driving and everything else, but in this case, it applies directly to what we're doing here. Because this is a very close quarters system. It's based on the fact that I'm walking down a street in Chicago, okay, which he's...
I'm from the south side of Chicago.
He's from the south side of Chicago, okay? I was born and raised in that area. I know Chicago. I've been in, Scranton, New Jersey, and Union City and some really crappy neighborhoods, okay? And I will tell you that in most of those areas, there is no room to avoid people most of the time. Either that, or you've got a scruffy group of people here, and you've got a scruffy group of people here, and you've got another scruffy group of people here. So you are going to have to contact them at some point. You know, even if it's just to, you know, walk through. But you're going to have to contact them. So being aware of that threat means that I can walk past him, and no matter what happens, I'm already aware that he's there. Okay? So in the case that in Arizona, we can carry firearms, and hopefully most of us do. But when you're walking and there is a threat or a potential threat, ensure that your firearm is on the opposite side, because you don't want to give them easy access to your firearm if you're carrying open. If you're carrying concealed, it makes it a little easier, but you still don't want to have that trapped between your body and their body, right?
You still got to be able to get to it.
You want to be able to get to it. So be prepared, watch around you, be aware of your surroundings. It's extremely important.
Case in point, when I go to the movie theater, I'm on the top row. Nobody can get behind me.
So you can see everything that's in
Usually
front
I'm
of them.
sitting kind of like right under where the projector is, a little bit off center of that. But anything going on in there is in front of me that I can see. And, you know, with my back to the wall, I don't have to worry so much about what's behind me because nobody can get there. So I can see everything in front of me.
Exactly.
It just,
Exactly.
you know, it might give you a split-second advantage, and that split second can save your life.
One of the first things that I do, and I know this unfortunately sounds a little paranoid, but at the same time, I haven't been in a major incident in almost 2 decades now. When I walk into any location, a store, a restaurant, a house, I always make sure that I have a second exit, a second area to go. I always make sure that when I'm walking in, I'm aware of where everything is set up, and if it's a restaurant, I always ask them for the seat, where I'm over here, sitting up against the wall, and I can view everything else that's outside of me. Again, this doesn't make me paranoid, it makes me safe, and it means that I don't have issues with people mugging me or, you know, wanting to do me harm, because I'm always aware of what's going on around me. It's extremely important. So, stay safe.
I was going to say, you know, the classic scenario, talk about not having enough time.
Exactly.
Right? Just walking down the street,
I'm walking.
and I, you know, maybe catches my eye, and this is how much time you have to deal with it. That's how much time. See, he already realized, so he's already countering. But by the time somebody's up on you, you have almost no time at all to react. And that's one of the things that we'll get into, is reducing that amount of time that it takes you to react, even if they're right on top of you when they start.
Be ready to twist, turn, and avoid.
Let me just say one thing just to really super emphasize it. Going through the police academy, that's the very first thing that they teach you as a cadet, is to watch the hands. The hands are what is going to kill you. Yeah, they can kick you, but the hand is going to have the knife, not the foot.
Right.
You know, the hand is going to have the gun. So it's, as soon as you make contact with anybody, where is his hands? And if he's like this, he could potentially have a weapon.
Absolutely.
So you've got to
Or
watch
hands
those.
behind the back, or hiding, you know, hiding one alongside his
Walk up
body.
on a traffic stop,
Keep
the
an eye on
first
hands.
thing you're looking for is hands.
One of the things that's very common, that, you know, where I grew up, is that you have a conceal going on like this. Okay, I mean, it doesn't look like there's a weapon, or it could be in the pockets, what have you. But that's all it takes to get the weapon out. So you know, concealing like that, you never know. I mean, it looks like an empty hand, but if you can't see the
That's right.
palm, if you can't see the palm of the hand, it doesn't look like I have anything, does it? Well, yeah, but I do.
Dangerous
Right.
magic trick, man.
And it's a potential threat. So. And just as many people die from screwdrivers every year as they do from baseball bats, and there's a large number of people that get killed by that stuff. So pay attention to what's around you. What's that?
No, we're going to ban hands.
Hands and feet.
All right.
Better?
Okay, so everybody's got this, right? Point your knees. turn your torso and point your knees. That's the main thing. Because believe it or not, and you'll see when we start getting into the knife and gun work that
Feeling fact.
that's
Just call him sensei.
We have the alligator.
it's okay. You could feel like that, but you'll realize you know why this is really so important.
Alligator.
Okay, so now we get into the tough stuff. Alligator alligator and rolls is in the same. Anyway. Okay, so you see on late night TV these 5 minute a day workout that's going to get you in shape in 5 minutes a day. Forget all of that. This is it. Right? This is alligator walk. Okay? You start laying down, and what you're going to do is you're going to bring your knee up to your elbow and turn this into a walk. Here. And what this does is it works every muscle in your body. And if you try this, you'll see how difficult it is.
Now, if you have a physical thing that will disallow you from doing that, you're more than welcome not to.
Yeah, you can skip it, but
The idea here is that if you are fit enough to do that,
Yeah, if you're fit
then
enough
that
to
then that
do
right
that-
there will strengthen your muscles quite well.
everything, because it works every muscle in your whole body.
Now, what is the purpose of this? I'm assuming that this is going to be more guerrilla tactics, trying to approach.
Well, the main thing
It
is
works
that
every muscle in your body.
It works every muscle in your body, and especially works your whole core group. You want the obliques, you want the cut obliques, you want the six-pack abs. Do this for 3 minutes a day. In 6 months, you'll have it.
Can you do it one more time?
Sure.
Sorry, I know that's probably not.
No, it's fine.
Request.
No, that's okay. We're gonna get everybody else who can do it here in a second. Right? Here.
Like a tarantula.
Exactly.
Anybody else want to give it a try?
All right, I'll go first.
Anybody who's able?
Why not, all right. I'll be the first to look crazy.
Ben.
Everybody's laughing at you until they
Ben.
see you at the beach.
Ben.
Yeah, right. All right. So,
Knee to elbow, knee to elbow.
other hand, right? Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're gonna want to, but when they're together, that's where all the weight is. Here. So you're extended on one side, together on the other side, and then you switch.
Oh, I got it.
There you go.
Oh, Spider-Man.
Yep.
That will hurt. I don't know if I could get through 3 minutes of that.
That's
It's a
if you can
working
get
That's
up
good
to
job.
3 minutes of that.
Yeah.
There's hardly any better workout. So
That
you
sounds
leave the
good.
weight set at the gym. You know, quit paying for your gym membership, and there you go.
That's it.
All right. Basic footwork and stance.
Okay. So we already came through on the basic stances, right? So this is your basic stance. Again, we switch. Easy enough, right? But then at some point you're going to need to move your feet. So you take, this is like half step, and everything is half steps because you don't want to disbalance yourself and you don't want to overcommit. In either direction. So if you're backing out of it, you don't want to get off balance backwards. Just the same as
Anyone good now?
you don't want to move too far forwards because you can be pulled out of balance forwards. So you never want to move too far in either direction. So
15 minutes.
basically it's a half step, 45 degrees or thereabouts. You can see the way my feet are, that when I wind up, one is at about a 30 to 45 degree angle on the rear foot, right? Same thing here. I step back, 30 to 45 degree angle on the rear foot, leading a straight line with the other foot, right? So it may seem small, but it's critically important, and you'll see why when we get into the distancing, when we get into the reach. So back on one, right? Forward on the other, right? And then you lead, so you're leading right or pulling back right. And same thing with the other foot, lead left, pull back left. So it's basically getting into this kind of rhythm here with either foot, right? Back, forward, back, forward. And you know, it may seem silly to relearn to walk, but when you become more conscious of it, you'll realize why this is so important. For example, Felicia. Okay. So when we're talking, so a lot of this is about distancing and reach. Okay. So from here, I have no reach to her. On the other hand, she also has no reach to me. Okay. But if you watch the foot and the half step, you'll see that this much distance gives me the reach I need to be able to pull a successful attack. Okay. In much the same way, if she steps forward and she's got the reach, all I have to do is step this far back, and there's no distance there. So that's why the footwork is so critical, is because this is going to either close the distance or take you out of the effective range. So that's why footwork is very critical. And so, but it's really easy. I mean, it's very basic, just forward, backward, and either way you wind up. And you could do this, you know, odd feet, right? Like Tai Chi Wa, or backwards, right? But either way, you'll notice that I'm not ever moving too far backwards or forwards, because it only takes a few inches to make the difference to either close or disengage. You guys want to? Why don't you guys all give that a try? Maybe just a little less.
Yeah.
And you'll see what I mean when okay. So with the
Say
distancing,
too, you want to keep them bent, right?
yeah, and you want to keep your knees bent to prevent any locks or leg attacks from working.
Something like that, too much?
So stand right here. Stand right here, and you'll see how works for me. Here we get not effective. All right, just a little. There you go, and suddenly, exactly. So only about a foot even. That's why it's a half step, right? So you're not taking this full step. You're only taking a little half step, but that is going to get you the reach that you need, even if you're remaining. You don't want to bend over ever, because when you do this, all of a sudden you've got an additional 30 pounds.
Yeah, your
Weight is shifted over this way, and that's 30 pounds that I can
want
use.
to come down a
So
little
you want
bit?
to sink like this, and that's why the sinking exercise is important. See, so you're not bending over, you're sinking.
We're not used to doing that on a regular basis.
Right.
During the day.
But so go ahead, and you got your reach here. Now just see what happens when you move just a half step forward. Yep.
I'm like all the way behind you. One little half step, I'm at your neck.
Yep.
Crazy.
And remember, stay off the center line.
And so even so, if I move in and I got you here, step back, either foot even. Okay, see? Now you're up.
Yeah.
Same position, other foot. Same thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So it's very easily getting out of the range of effective attack with just a very subtle foot movement.
Awesome. So, I was doing too much before.
Yeah, I'd say.
In fact, if you, as you said before, you sink a little bit, you really can't do too much.
Right.
You lose that, and I know you want to keep that. So.
Remember, the bigger you are, the higher your center of gravity is.
And that's why it's more important to sink and lower your center of
The
gravity.
neighbor, she can't hear anything. She's like 100 years old.
And you can see how, and you could work on the footwork and this at the same time, right? Moving, moving,
Ah,
moving.
it's her son.
moving.
He's like 90 years old.
That full bore by the end of the day, aren't you?
Well, hopefully, because we're going to get into, you know, as you can see, how easy it is to move out of the distance of an attack or into the range of your own attack in the same motion.
Rolls and falling.
When we start to discuss the disbalancing attacks, I don't strike. I don't like hurting my hands, so I don't hit. You know, even though open hand is still, I don't like hurting my hands. So that's not what I base my offense off of. Plus, the surface of the hand is so small.
Bitch slapping
We're
boxing.
going to use a larger surface area, use the entire surface of the forearm. And again, this is not to strike or cause damage. It's merely to break the balance of your opponent. Which brings us up to the next.
Rolls and falling.
Okay, rolls and falling. You guys are going to hate this because I know you all don't like to get on the ground.
Backwards roll.
Okay, but we're going to start at the backwards roll, which is the best demonstration of this. Now, in a standard roll, like gymnastics or often what they'll teach, if you're moving on the center line, it's very difficult. It takes a lot of energy to do this. Right? And it's hard to regain your balance when you get to the other side. And also you're on a very small surface area on the back of your head. You're turning on the back of your head. It's a very small surface area. It's also on a very easily injured area. So we change this. You move your head to the side and you're rolling diagonally over the much larger surface area on the shoulder and on the back of the head there. Like so. Right? So you're using a much larger surface area, and this is very important when it gets to rolling out of a throw or how to fall properly so that you don't injure yourself. That's the main thing. Don't hurt yourself. And don't let them hurt you either. So
This is important to think about because if in the event you are knocked down or pushed over or shoved off balance and you fall down, you're able to roll out of it without hurting yourself.
Is there any way we can demonstrate, because it's one thing that's kind of not being, because you're starting out already laying on the ground.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much different it is from Taekwondo, but Taekwondo teaches you to roll
Yeah.
when you fall.
yeah,
And so if I'm a threat, are you ready?
yeah. Right?
Disperse the energy
So-
over the shoulder, the widest amount of
The
space.
entire back of my arm as a surface area is taking that fall, and the shoulder. You might notice I didn't even touch my head to the ground when I did that. Let's not beat up the instructor
I
again.
would play
Forwards roll.
You beat me up enough the other day.
We got this nice, soft, padded, controlled environment. We might as well.
Forwards roll. We will
You'll
never
also
have.
notice that when I'm using that arm to balance off of this arm, that actually leaves this hand free. So if they try to push me to the ground and kick, I've already got a hand available in front of my face. I'm not using both hands to steady myself, even if I'm on the ground.
The most important thing to remember too right now is that no matter what happens, you will never have the superb range conditions where the paper target is standing in front of you and not moving and you have all the time in the world to think about it. You will never have a soft surface to hit. The odds are you're going to have rocks on the ground, or it's going to be gravel, or there will be cars flying by your head. You have to remember to what? Stay alert. Be aware of your surroundings. And with this, he'll go into the forward roll.
Okay, well, first I want everybody who's willing to go ahead and try that backwards roll. Again, you want to turn the head either way, so that you are spreading that spreading your
So head to the
surface
side.
area.
Remember, swing to the side. There you go.
There you go. Let's go.
All right, I'll go.
Give it a try.
Does it matter? It doesn't matter which side, does it?
Right. But
No.
you're gonna turn your head out the opposite way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Perfect.
Perfect. There you go.
Which granted, in any type of situation, your adrenaline's going to be flowing.
Yeah.
It's going to be much easier, plus
Yes.
you're not going to feel the rocks or the uneven table.
That's why it's important to go through these exercises
I have to
before.
do that a bunch at home, man.
Exactly. Exactly.
It really relies on a lot of,
Yes.
but you know, too, if you were pushed, or if you were made to fall that way, I mean, you're already going to be in a momentum. You just keep the momentum going to
Yeah.
go into the roll.
Use the existing motion to your advantage. Okay, so the forward roll is the same thing, only backwards. Okay. And this doesn't come up very much, but you know, you got to cover it because it's one way in, one way out, right? So your standard roll, a la gymnastics or what have you. So now you'll notice that it's going. You're on the center line. You stand to hit the back of your head. Your surface area is not distributed on a very large area. On the other hand, with the diagonal side roll, right? Pretty much the same thing, only you're doing this, right? So when you hit, say you get thrown forward, you're in a car accident or something like this, right? You're over a much larger surface area because it's spreading that weight of the impact out over a larger surface area. And that's the important thing to remember about a forward roll or forward motion. So, or from standing, yeah? So you're spreading it over a larger surface area, rolling diagonally across the body. Anybody want to give it a try? Everybody's like, no.
We weren't laying down this time.
I didn't try this one anyway, so that's a long way down. All right,
There you go, perfect. That's it.
You going? All right, I'll go. It's good that we have such high interaction here. I think I did that a little too fast.
A little too fast. One of the things you want to concentrate on, again, if you get thrown, and you'll see why this becomes important later, is when you hit the ground. You don't ever want to hit the ground this way. You want to widen out to spread as much of the impact area over this surface as you can, right?
I'll be dubbing that over.
Right?
All right.
It's okay.
We'll do it again.
I know.
So what I did at that last time,
Your shoulders didn't even touch the ground.